How do you become wealthy? Earn more money? That's what most people would say. But here's the truth. For most wealthy people, wealth doesn't start with earning more. It probably started when they were broke, living paycheck to paycheck, because you can be earning six figures and still be broke, or earning half that and quietly building real wealth over time. And the difference? It comes down to a few essential money habits you must have if you want to build real, lasting wealth. Before we even get into the habits, I want to share a mindset shift that completely changed the way I manage money. Over the years, I've heard a lot of financial advice, from Dave Ramsey's Save 10% rule to the FIRE movement's idea of saving 50 to 70% of your income. And honestly, my brain just processes things a little differently, because one day I was listening to someone talk about FIRE, and he said, you need to be saving 50 to 70% of your income if you want to retire early and live a good life. And I know that's what he said. I even went back and replayed it a couple of times. But what I heard, what my brain translated to me instead was this: you have to live off just 30 to 50% of your income. And at that time, I was making $30,000 a year. So I'm sitting there doing this math like, wait, does that mean I'm supposed to live off $15,000? That's ridiculous. And it felt impossible. But it got me to thinking, if I can't live off 50% of my income at that time, what could I live off? What would happen if, instead of setting a savings goal, I made a lifestyle decision, a decision to align my lifestyle, not just with what I wanted today at that time, but with the future I wanted to build. And how do I find that balance between living for now and building for later? I'll go deeper into all of this in an upcoming video on the FIRE movement. But for today, as we walk through these essential money habits, here's one idea I want you to keep in mind. Building wealth starts with your money habits. And like James Clear says in Atomic Habits, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. These money habits, they are your system. And you build good money habits by making intentional choices about what you keep, what you grow, and what you decide matters most. That's your foundation. So let's start with the first essential money habit, how you view money. The first essential habit is all about mindset, and that's how you see money in the first place. For a long time, I saw money as a reward. If I worked hard, I deserved to spend it. If I had a rough week, I deserved a little treat. And if I came into some extra money, that meant I could finally buy something I'd been wanting. And listen, I'm not against treating yourself or celebrating wins. In fact, I talk about using your money for your own sanity and peace of mind in some of my videos. But if money is only a reward, you'll always find a reason to spend it. The habit that changed everything for me was this. I started seeing money as a tool to create stability, a tool to buy back my time, a tool to build options for my future, and a tool to support the life I actually wanted, not just a life I can afford in the moment. When money comes in, do you immediately think, what can I spend this on? Or do you pause and ask, how can I use this to move closer to the life I want? When you see money as a tool, you naturally become more intentional, and that habit alone can change your entire financial path. The second habit is something simple but powerful. Check in with your money regularly. Now, I know for a lot of people that sounds like the last thing you want to do. If money feels tight, checking in can feel stressful, like pulling back the curtains on something you'd rather not look at. But here's the truth. Avoidance creates anxiety. Awareness creates power. Wealthy people don't check in with their money because they're rich. They become rich because they check in. You need a rhythm, whether that's once a month, twice a week, or even on the first day of the month. This is where you sit down and look at your numbers. For me, this is my monthly reality check. Just me, a cup of tea, my journal, a spreadsheet, and 15 minutes to get honest about what's working and what's not. And this is not about obsessing over every penny. It's about staying connected to what your money is doing and where it's going, so you can make intentional choices instead of reactive ones. You can use that time to track what came in and what went out, check your bank and credit card balances, review your spending habits, or just ask yourself, Am I still on track with the goals I set? It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be consistent, because the more in touch you are with your money, the more confident and control you feel. Habit number 3 is about how you spend your money. And I'm not just talking about cutting back or being frugal. I'm talking about spending with intention. One of the biggest shifts in my financial life came when I stopped asking, can I afford this? And started asking, is this what I really want? Is it aligned with the life I'm building? Because you can afford a lot of things on paper, but that doesn't mean they actually support the life you want. This is where value-based decisions and spending comes in. It means spending money on the things that matter most to you and being willing to let go of the stuff that doesn't. For me, that meant I stopped spending money on the little things that captured my attention for 5 minutes and then forgot about, and instead started putting more toward things that gave me peace, purpose, or progress. You might decide you'd rather spend $200 on therapy or a coaching program to help you create wealth than $200 on a random Target or Lowe's or Home Depot run. Or maybe you value experiences with your family more than eating out every week. The point is, you decide. But the key to making it a habit is to pause before you spend and ask yourself, does this support what I value or just what I'm feeling right now? The goal isn't perfection, it's alignment. And when your spending lines up with your values, your money starts to feel more meaningful, even when you're spending less. Habit number 4 is all about saving, and specifically building the habit of paying yourself first. Now, you've probably heard that phrase before, but let's break down what it actually means. Most people do this backwards. They pay their bills, they cover their needs, and maybe treat themselves a little. And if anything's left over, maybe it goes towards savings. But when you flip that, when you make saving a priority before everything else, that's when your money starts building momentum. Paying yourself first means aligning your future goals with the lifestyle you want to enjoy right now and deciding how to create a balance between the two. And that starts with what we already talked about, figuring out how much you actually need to live on. Look at your bills, your regular expenses, and your current lifestyle. How much of your income does that take up? Are you willing or even able to cut back in any of the areas? Once you know what it takes to support your present, then you can plan for how much you want to save for your future. Setting a goal to save 50% of your income is amazing, but it's absolutely worthless if it's not realistic for you right now. Remember, it's not enough to just try to save. You need to plan to save, and then you automate it. Just like with spending, this isn't about being restrictive. It's about choosing what matters and letting your habits support that choice. Habit number 5 is all about investing, and this is where a lot of people start to feel nervous or think, well, that's not for me. But here's the truth. If you want to build long-term wealth, you can't just save. You have to grow, and that means investing. Now, don't worry. I'm not about to throw a whole bunch of complicated stock market terms at you. That's not what this video is about. What I want you to focus on is consistency. Investing doesn't have to start big. You can begin with small, simple, regular contributions and still build real momentum over time. But just like with savings, you have to start with one question. How much are you realistically able to invest right now based on your current lifestyle? Look at how much you need to live. Then look at how much you want to save. And then ask, what can I dedicate toward my future growth? It might be 2% of your income. It might be 25% or more of your income. The point is to make it a habit, to show up for your future consistently. And here's the beautiful thing. Once it's automated, investing just starts to feel like another bill that you pay, except this bill is paying you back later. So don't get caught up in thinking you need thousands to begin. What you need is a plan, a system, and a decision to start where you are. Habit number 6 is tracking your numbers, and this is different from your regular money check-ins. Your money check-ins is your weekly or monthly rhythm. It's where you look at what's coming in, what's going out, and whether your day-to-day money is aligned with your plans. Tracking your numbers is the big picture habit. It's where you step back and measure your progress, not just your transactions. This doesn't have to be done weekly. For most people, once a quarter or even once every 6 months is enough. But it's essential because if you never measure your progress, it's easy to feel like you're not making any progress or making more than you think you are. So what numbers should you be tracking? First of all is your net worth. Even if it's negative, track it so you can watch it shift over time. Your total debt, not to feel bad about it, but to see when it's getting smaller. Your savings and investments rate, so you know how much of your income is going towards your future. This is how you stay motivated, because when you see your numbers changing, even slowly, it builds momentum and belief in what you're creating for your life, both now and in the future. You don't need to do this perfectly. You just need a simple system, a spreadsheet, a notebook, a money app, and a commitment to check in regularly, because what gets tracked gets managed, and what gets managed gets better. Habit number 7 is one that not everyone talks about when it comes to wealth, but I believe it matters, and it's the habit of generosity. Now, before you skip this one, let me say this. I don't believe generosity is something you owe the world. I believe this is something that you can grow out of overflow, and that overflow does not have to be financial. You don't have to give away thousands of dollars to be generous. Generosity can show up in your time, your presence, your energy, or your skills. For me personally, I'm a member of a veterans organization, and through that group, I've found meaningful ways to give back. Sometimes that's financial, and sometimes it's just showing up and serving in ways that matter. And I found that when you build the habit of making space to give in whatever form feels aligned to you, it changes how you experience money. You move from scarcity to trust, from just surviving to knowing you have something to offer. So no, you don't have to start with this habit, but if you've ever felt like you want to contribute, to help, to give, this is your reminder that generosity is a wealth habit too, and it starts with a simple question. Where in my life can I create space to give, even if it's just a little? The easiest way to begin is by finding something close to your heart, an organization or a cause you believe in. Even if all you give is your time, your skills, it counts and it still matters. Wealth isn't built by accident. It's built through small, intentional habits that you repeat over time. You don't have to do everything perfectly, but if you start practicing even just 1 or 2 of these habits, you'll start to feel more confident, more in control, and more aligned with the future you want to build. Good money habits are a powerful step toward wealth, but to build real lasting momentum, you need to know where you're starting from. And if you're ready to turn these habits into a long-term strategy, this video is where you start.